We are officially back. Serie A match day one. I think we're all happy. It's good to see Calcio back. Good to see sports back. This time of year is amazing. You got Calcio back, and you got football back, and then you got the NHL, and then NBA. Everybody's happy. And joining us now from Napoli Club Toronto, here on the Calcio Guys, by the way, I didn't mention that, Adriano and Nicholas, is Stef Cioffi. Steph, how's it going?
Good.
I feel like we've had you on a few times now, so it's good to have you as our first guest of this season. Did you spend the summer celebrating from the Scudetto win?
Yes, and Napoli celebrating this year.
That's crazy. Wait, did you go to Naples, Steph, or?
Yeah. I was there the final game of the season when they lifted the trophy.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah,
how was that experience?
It was crazy. Everyone was like partying until like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. It was a crazy experience.
It's crazy to see because even now, still the city is still. I mean, it's always going to be blue, but the city is like extra blue. After that Scudetto win, were you? So you saw the last game of the season. Did you stay in Naples for a long time after, or you kind of like headed back to Toronto?
I was there for about like a week. I was in like a small town beside it for about 5-6 days, and I stayed in the main city, Naples, for like a week. So after the game, it was like a few more days I was still there, and it was like crazy. Everyone was still celebrating. Like I was at the Muriales one day, and everyone just started singing, and there was just like chaos, and like people celebrating, like even days after. It's crazy.
And if I correct me if I'm wrong, Steph, there was other people from Napoli Club Toronto there with you, no?
Yeah, there was. Danny was there. Selena was there with me as well.
Okay, nice. That's good. Sorry, no, Nick, go ahead.
I just wanted to bring it into our first segment. Napoli beat Frosinone this weekend 3-1. It started off not so well for the defending champs. Conceded a penalty early on. It was a Cajuste. I'll be honest, I don't know this player. I even said in one of our group chats with Adriano before the game, I'm like, who's this number 24 taking the number from Insigne? Who's this Cajuste? It sounds like the name of a nut or something. But no, seriously, like where does he come from, Steph? Like, is he a starter? Do you expect him to be a starter? He gave up the penalty, so it wasn't a good start to his Napoli career.
Yeah, so he came from Reims in France. He'll probably be the backup, the vice Zambo Anguissa sub, because last season, the whole year, we had Anguissa, and he literally had to play like every single game because we didn't really have a real replacement there for him. So he came in for the during the transfer market for around like 15 million, and just as a replacement for Ndombele. He's a young player. I think he'll be a good player for us. But yeah, that was his first game was rough. He got subbed off at half. It was just really like, I don't know if he should have been starting. He's only been with the squad maybe for, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks. So, I mean, it was tough to see him start and have that debut like that. But he has a lot of attributes, which I think he could be good at Napoli. He's tall, he's strong, he's fast, can dribble, like all the type of stuff you want in a midfielder to replace Anguissa. So, yeah, it was a tough start for him. But hopefully next game he could start to regain his confidence.
Yeah, that penalty was terrible. I mean, it was. I guess like you said, Steph, been with the team about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Kudos for Garcia for throwing him in right off the rip. I mean, the more experiences that a player like him can get, I think will be a bit more beneficial for him. Getting used to the league for certain players is a struggle. Some players not. Cajuste, kind of wrong place, wrong time, wrong decision. It is what it is. Besides that early blunder, I think the true Napoli definitely turned it on after that. I don't know if you agree, Steph, and just, I guess, what do you make of the rest of the game? And obviously the result at the end was obviously positive with the win. Your thoughts?
I just want to interrupt. I just want to say, if anybody's listening and says, who's this Nicholas guy, doesn't know players in the Serie A, I apologize. You're not here for I do not know every single player in the Serie A. This is why we're here to shoot the shit. And don't give me shit, please. Sorry, Steph. Continue.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, I thought we responded well after that. I was actually like, it was obviously a rough start to the game, but I was kind of interested to see the way we would like come back from that, or how we would respond. With a new coach, it's kind of hard to tell. So I thought it was a good sign to see Garcia. Like with his tactics, we came back into the game. I feel like that was kind of like a little wake up call, because after that we started to get back into the game, and I mean, like, cheers to Frosinone that they actually played a good game. I thought like they had chances throughout the game, but just Napoli just a better team. Uh,
Mhm.
Throughout the game, Di Lorenzo I thought was an incredible game. I thought he was man of the match with his 2 assists. I really liked the way we looked on a counter attack with Garcia. And yeah, like, we just responded well. Di Lorenzo was all over the place. Zielinski had a great game, and of course, Osimhen got those 2 chances and scored. It's exactly what you want to see. Like, start of the season, you obviously want to start off with a win, and just like the confidence we showed coming back from 1-0 down. Like, in the past, we've seen, for example, like when a team goes down like that, their confidence may drop, or players might start to look like slow out there. But I like the response we saw, and yeah, it's also good to see how we play without Kvara. So, because I think Kvaratskhelia, of course, is a massive impact for our team. So Raspadori, I thought, filled in pretty well there. He didn't have the greatest game, but I mean, it's first game of the season, so it's hard to judge like too much.
He's hurt, right, Kvara?
Yeah, Kvara's hurt, but now he's back. It was more of just a precaution, just to make sure he doesn't get hurt, because then we have Sassuolo and Lazio the next 2 games.
Okay. And you're talking about the comeback. Seeing first game, conceding that early, especially, what I liked about this game? This was the Serie A champs versus the Serie B champs. I don't know if the league did this on purpose, but
Yeah.
I think this could be a tradition to start. Every year, first game of the season, first game of the first weekend, you got the 2 defending champs, almost like a Supercopa type. But anyways, after seeing them go down 1-0, it's in Frosinone. The fans are happy. The team's full of energy. Were you worried at all, or did you think, what, this team just won the Scudetto? I know it's a different coach. I can't compare it to last year, but they had the talent to come back.
Yeah, I wasn't really too worried. I mean, when you have like a player like Osimhen on your team, and it's like almost a goal a game kind of thing, I wasn't really too worried about it. Like, as soon as like 5-10 minutes after the goal, you could kind of tell that Napoli was like back in the game and stuff like that. And then I don't know, wasn't much worry from there. Like, we have such a good squad. You see players like Osimhen, Lobotka, Zielinski, and I'm not really worried too much.
Yeah, and I was curious to see, like, just like we did our season preview stuff, and like probably every other cultural content creator out there, kind of seen with this Napoli. I mean, what type of Napoli we're going to see? I mean, it's more or less a carbon copy from last season. Obviously there's some additions and subtractions, but for me, I think the biggest thing was the defense. I mean, for me, granted, this is week 1 against Frosinone, Serie B champs, but the levels were different. You could have told like how the levels of squads were definitely different. I guess it's going to kind of bleed into like kind of like a longer winded question, but and not just specific on this game, but besides because the goal that was conceded off a penalty, like we already explained, the Kajus incident there in the box. The defense, I guess, besides that, was pretty good. Does the defense situation scare you at all, or worry you at all? Because losing Kim Min-jae, Serie A defender, pretty much of the season last season, huge piece that is a shame that he left Serie A. I mean, obviously Bayern picking up that release clause was almost a no-brainer for that price, especially for a quality player like him. Does that worry you at all, the defense and kind of the unknown Nathan kind of filling in the role, and just even the pieces that you do have? Is that worrisome at all for you going forward?
Yeah, so of course a bit. Like, losing someone like Kim is massive. Like, the impact he had was huge as defender of the year last year. But like scouting Nathan and watching his stuff and learning the type of player he is, he's kind of a similar player to Kim and Koulibaly, where he's left-footed, he has great passing ability, he has pace, strength, all that type of stuff. More of my worry is just how long it takes for him to adjust to the league. I mean, someone like Kim last year just slotted right in, but I think it's a little bit different. Like Kim was playing in Turkey compared to like the Brazilian league. I think it's a little bit different. But I think our backups would be able to do against lower teams. But I'm curious to see how they do against bigger squads. Like there's like Juan Jesus, Ostergaard. Someone like a Juan Jesus, of course, is good to have with his experience he brings and stuff like that. But it's hard to tell, really. I mean, I think Nathan could do good in this league. He has the attributes to do it. For me, more of my worry is just how long he takes to adapt to the league. Like, he could rather take a long time to adapt to the league, or he could just slot right in. Like we saw with like Kvara and Kim, how they just slotted right into the league. But I trust our scouts and stuff like that Nathan is that Kim replacement. Of course, we might see a drop in level with players like Ostergaard and Jesus while they're playing. Last season, we saw Jesus slot in versus like Juve against Milan in some of the big games, and he didn't do too bad. But I wouldn't say the defense worries me. It's definitely not as good as it was last season, but I think we may see a drop off. But I mean, I think with the midfield we have and our fullbacks and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to be too much of a worry, but time will tell.
That's fair.
Technical difficulties. Looking at Napoli's team and, just the summer mercato, obviously you explained some of that movement on the back end. There's still about a week and a bit left until the end of the transfer window. I believe August 31st is when it ends. Do you expect Napoli to make any moves, whether it's younger players being loaned out or them bringing in a depth player right at the end? Do you expect anything?
So Vega is supposed to be apparently close to done, which I think is a huge signing for the league. Today it's come out though from like Fabrizio Romano that there's some issues in the deal now, so that the deal's kind of stalled. Outside of that, we're trying to sell Lozano because ADL has come out and said that pretty much that if Lozano's not going to renew his deal and take a pay cut, he's not going to play. So we're kind of just waiting to sell Lozano, and if we do, it's expected that we're going to sign a right winger back, a new right winger, someone like Bakayoko from PSV is rumored. I don't know too much about him, but he's supposed to apparently be a good like young right winger, and I think that's like much needed because if you look at our squad last year, we won the league and we had like the best attack goal scoring wise, but right winger was definitely like a weaker part of our squad with Politano and Lozano not really performing up to standards. Like we saw Politano have a good game against Frosinone, but it's only a one-off game. Like time will tell. But aside from that, we're looking at Vega, and then I don't think any more transfers. We could possibly see another midfielder for Demme, who's in the same situation. He wasn't in the squad this week, which tells something, but it's more if we could find a buyer for him. And if we do, we'll most likely bring in Demme replacement, who would be like a Vice Laboca option.
Yeah, I heard about the Vega kid. He looks like an exciting buy if it does go through. I don't remember the financials, Steph. How much was it for? Do you know?
It's roughly like 35 million with some adults. His release clause is 40 million, and they got it to like 35 million with some add-ons. I think it's like 2 or 3 million in add-ons. But yeah, like you said, he's a really exciting player. He would eventually be like that Zielinski replacement, and I think for now they would just kind of like rotate.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, already it was huge for Zielinski to stay. I think. I know there was obviously those rumors flying around the Napoli verse of Zielinski. Is he staying? Is he going? It looks like he's staying. He seems to be set on staying and then having a continuous role on this squad. And I mean, throughout his tenure at Napoli, I think he's been obviously he's had his downs, but I think he's been off more times than not. I think a positive player and a crucial player for the squad. So, I mean, listen, healthy competition with a guy like Vega, if that does end up panning out for you guys, I think is always a plus. Kind of just shifting away, obviously, from just the game over the weekend because there wasn't really much more to it. They went down they turned it on. They were Napoli. They got the goals. They got the win. They got the 3 points. Certain players obviously played well. Some players not maybe up to par. But listen, it's week 1, match day 1, so I'm not too worried about that. My thing was, we obviously didn't get to speak to you before the season started, Steph, but kind of quickly want to just get your overall thoughts on this upcoming season for Napoli, coming off as Scudetto champions, losing Spalletti, which again I said a lot last year was probably, obviously when we say MVP, it's usually a player, but I think Spalletti did a lot for Napoli last season, more than maybe people would have expected, and maybe more than people really noted that he did. I guess just the overall question, Steph, your expectations for this season. Is it repeat season for Napoli? Is it like where do you see them falling? And just kind of how do you think that this season is going to pan out with, like I said, a bit of a different squad, but more or less the same. And obviously Rudy Garcia is a different coach. I mean, we saw a bit of his style of play. You said obviously the counterattack that you like, but again, just going forward, I mean, how do you see this Napoli side competing in Serie A and maybe just even in general in all competition?
So, I mean, I think this season we're still going to be competitive. I think the goal, of course, would have to be the Scudetto, and I think we're going to be like right there. I think some of these a lot of squads have improved in the league, but I mean, I think this year, just on like the player front, I think we're going to see more steps for players like Kvara and Osimhen. They're still so young. I think aside from the Kim departure, like you said, our squad has basically stayed the same. And our squad last year, the way we performed was like amazing. Like you couldn't really ask for more than what we did. I think with the coaching change, Spalletti is of course a big loss, but I feel like Garcia comes in. He plays the same formation as Spalletti, which was a huge thing when we were looking for a coach, that they had to play a 4-3-3. And I think Garcia, you're going to not really see him reinvent the wheel too much. I think you're going to kind of see a similar play style to Spalletti, which is his play style. He plays 4-3-3, possession. He tries to play more attacking football off counters and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think the coaching change is definitely going to have an impact. Maybe, like, it's hard to tell. Like, maybe it'll take time with for him to, like, adapt to the squad. But I think coaching wise, I think Garcia could do it. We've seen him. He has that experience winning a league. He's done it with Lille in France before. And I think like throughout the whole year, I think our squad is so deep. Like everywhere you look in striker, we have behind Osimhen, we have Simeone, we have Raspadori. I feel like we really have a deep squad where we're going to compete for the Scudetto again. And I don't see like why we couldn't win it again. A lot of these teams, in my opinion, have gotten somewhat better, or they've replaced like for example, like an Inter, they lost Bronzovic, but they did replace well with like Fratesi, and they've improved around other parts. But I see Napoli just competing all year. I don't think it'll be like last year where we finished like 15, 20 points ahead. I think it's going to be a really close title race. Like I think between Napoli, Inter, and Milan, I'm obviously being biased, going to say Napoli's going to win, but I think it's going to be super close between like Napoli, Inter, and Milan, battling it out. And you never even know a team like Juve, they're not in Europe, so they just have to focus on Serie A, which is a good thing. Maybe you won't pick up as many injuries as the other squad and stuff like that. But I'd see Napoli repeating, and I see it being a really tight race, one that just goes like right down to the end.